Well, closing arguments in President Trump's impeachment case will be held Monday with a vote on the verdict expected Wednesday. In between, the president delivers his State of the Union address. A lot on the agenda this week. ABC's David Wright is covering the president in West Palm Beach, Florida. Good morning to you, David.
Good morning, Eva. This will be the president's third time addressing a joint session of Congress, but his first since impeachment. Administration officials say he'll stress relentless optimism, but they won't say whether he'll acknowledge impeachment at all. Of course, out on the campaign trail and at party rallies, he's not exactly shy about doing that, but it's a little bit different in the formality of that chamber. Nancy Pelosi standing right there behind him, and in the audience, 100 people who will be voting the very next day on the verdict.
Now, David, this is a process that has tested the separation of powers, and representatives of all three branches of government will be there in the room. Is there an opportunity to heal the wounds of this process?
Maybe, but it depends on how they deal with the elephant in the room. Impeachment is going to be tough to ignore, but also awkward to acknowledge. A real test of decorum on all sides. You remember last year, Speaker Pelosi seemed to troll President Trump with exaggerated applause. And on Friday night, Senator Ted Cruz in the Senate chamber mimicked that gesture. Trump is not the first U.S. president to deliver a State of the Union in the midst of impeachment. Back in 1999, Bill Clinton spoke for 77 minutes. He did not mention impeachment once. Well, we'll see if President Trump follows that example. Eva?
All right, David Wright for us this morning. Thank you. Dan?
Thank you, Eva. Thank you, David. For more on all of this, let's bring in our chief anchor, George Stephanopoulos, who will be hosting This Week later this morning, heading into a relaxing week with not much going on. Let's start with Iowa. Do you have a sense of who's likely to come out on top, or is this just a jump ball all the way around?
It's a complete fool's errand to try to predict the Iowa caucuses. They surprise almost every time around. And coming into the caucuses tomorrow night, the pack is pretty tightly bunched. Those top four, Bernie Sanders, Joe Biden, Pete Buttigieg, and Elizabeth Warren, have been pretty well packed the entire process. So it's really, really hard to read. Generally, they've said that, you get 3 tickets out of Iowa. I think this time around, it's very possible you're going to have 4 tickets out of Iowa.
Let's talk about the State of the Union, which is going to happen the next day. Is this? I would imagine this is both an opportunity for the president and also a little bit of a tricky moment.
Biggest opportunity of the year. He's got an unparalleled audience for as much time as he wants to take on Tuesday night. I think one of the big questions, as David just alluded to, is how does he deal with impeachment? And I think it's pretty unlikely to imagine that he's going to go through the whole speech without mentioning it or alluding to it in any way, in the way that Bill Clinton did back in 1999. That would be a surprise if he did. The second thing to watch for, since this is going to be coming off the Iowa caucuses on Monday night, how does he address that? Remember last year's State of the Union, he kind of took on the idea of Democrats being socialists, which was a pretty clear shot at Bernie Sanders. If Bernie does well on Monday night, will we see that again from the president? I think those are the two big things to watch for.
He's going to be speaking before the vote on Wednesday, when the senators are expected to acquit him on these charges that have been brought up in the impeachment process. Assuming that he is acquitted, which it looks like he almost certainly will be, what kind of impact do you think that's going to have on his governing style and his campaign style?
Well, that is a big, big question. Again, let's see if he talks about it on Tuesday night. Number two, in the past, whenever the president has kind of escaped an issue, he's doubled down. Remember, just the day after the Mueller testimony back in July of 2019 was the day he made that phone call to the Ukrainian president. He might feel completely vindicated and unleashed in the wake of this. On the other hand, this story is not over. We're still waiting to hear from John Bolton. We found out just late on Friday night at midnight that the Justice Department was holding back 24 emails that indicated the president's thinking on this matter. You can bet that the Democrats are going to make an issue of this going into the election. What kind of impact that will have is uncertain, but the president has not escaped this issue. And one final point on that, the Southern District of New York is still investigating his personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani, for his involvement in this matter.
A lot of shoes left potentially to drop from this centipede. George, thank you very much for coming on, and good luck this week. Just let me give you a sense of how busy his week is. He's got a big show this morning. He's going to go one-on-one with presidential candidates Pete Buttigieg and Andrew Yang, plus the Powerhouse Roundtable. We'll break down the politics of impeachment and the latest on the 2020 race on the eve of Iowa. That's coming up later this morning right here on ABC. ABC on This Week. And then a reminder, George will lead our live coverage of the Senate impeachment trial when it resumes at 11 Eastern Monday morning right here on ABC. And let me just give you one other reminder. We had exciting news regarding ABC News with today's extraordinary news cycle, which we're all so busy covering. The timing is perfect for the new ABC News Live streaming channel. Everywhere, breaking news, context analysis, digging deeper, making sense of it all. ABC News Live launches tomorrow night. George, thanks again.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.